Joining me on the show today, we have Bellator middleweight contender Travis Bam Bam Davis coming at us from Ohio. Travis, you look great. I like your shirt. I like your tattoos, man. I have tattoos as well, but not nearly as much as you, man. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. I actually have another appointment scheduled on Friday to get some more work done.
You just can't get enough, man. Like you got all kinds of things going on. And
Yeah,
for people who don't know a lot about Travis, he is a professional mixed martial artist, obviously with being in Bellator and all, but he's also a professional boxer. That's really interesting. It's definitely something I'm going to ask you about. Travis, I'm older than you, so I'm comfortable in saying this about you. I don't know if you're a young old guy or an old young guy. I'm not sure, but I have that card because I'm older than you, so I'm going to go ahead and play it. The reason why I say that, you've been on the competitive scene for a number of years. 2010 is when you hit the AMI scene, and the game of just mixed martial arts in general is a hell of a lot different today compared to what it was back in 2010. I know it's weird to say it wasn't that long ago, but the sport has exploded in popularity since then. Can you talk, Travis, a little bit about what was it like being in AMI back in 2010 compared to just how things are from your perspective now?
yeah, man. I mean, back in 2010, it was still, Ultimate Fighter had only been around for 4 years at that time. It was still fairly new to me. I mean, I didn't really even know that much about the UFC until I can't remember what number it was. I want to say it's like 76 or 78 or something like that. When it was, I think the first fight I ever watched was Rampage Jackson versus Chuck Liddell. That was the first UFC event I ever watched, and obviously, Rampage knocked Chuck Liddell out in that one. So when I was living in Japan and I first started training, I bought like all 1 through 115 of UFC on DVD, and like freaking spent, I mean, hours. Some of the original ones were like 4.5 hours long, 5 hours long events and stuff. So I watched all of it, and I'd watch like behind the scenes and shit like that. But dude, it's just the training is completely different. When we when we trained back in the day, it was it was like no holds bar, man. When we go into practice, it was you know we wouldn't do a lot of warm-ups. We just get right into it. Hard sparring, hard grappling. I remember going to like the MMA classes, and we'd be doing hands behind your back, forehead to forehead, and you're trying to like fight for head positioning, put it, and people were getting cut nonstop. And I mean, just the training and especially training then and to now it's like a lot more. I don't know. I want to say more organized. I don't want to say it's easier. It's just not as dirty looking. You know what I mean? It's not as scrappy and stuff. Uh, and some guys are a little bit more of I don't know how to say it, but they can be a little kind of bitchy training partners. You know what I mean? They don't want to get hurt and they don't want to do this. And it's just like, Jesus, man, you guys wouldn't have cut it 10 years ago.
I'm glad you said that, Travis, because you mentioned even though I got a couple years on you, roughly we're the same age. So I know if I throw names at you, it's rare that I actually get to talk to somebody who's roughly my age because I
Yeah.
throw these names out and I get these blank looks back. But like the game has evolved to such an extent, agree or disagree, the game has evolved to such an extent, like guys like Tank Abbott, like those brawler types from back in the
Yeah.
day, they're just obsolete now.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you can't fight like that and make it at the level that you are currently at.
Yeah.
And when you talk about just how the game's evolved, you talk about it being a lot more technical. It's not so much a tough guy sport. Is it like less edgy maybe like when you told people in 2010 even on the AMI scene like yeah, I'm a mixed martial artist, like, oh, you're a cage fighter, like gasp, like
Yeah.
was it was it a lot more edgy back then in your
I think
perception compared to today?
I think so, man. To be honest with you, I remember when I first started fighting, and people found out that I was a fighter. I thought I was going to get in more fights outside of the cage because of that. Back like then, there was like everyone was like, "Oh, you must be a badass," or like if there was another badass at the bar you were drinking at, he wanted to test himself against you because you're a cage fighter. I don't think you see that as much now. Like I just don't. I think the fans are a little bit different than what they were back then. You know what I mean? Like it's evolved a little more. It's obviously more mainstream now. So you have like those super casual fans that don't really know a whole lot, but know like, the big names like McGregor or George St. Pierre and stuff. And I mean, even GSP's getting on the, back end of the side. So, I think it's definitely, I think overall it's gotten a lot softer, but it's because it's gotten more technical. And I mean, if you watch those old school UFC events, I mean, that was like, headbutting was allowed. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So, like the stomping of the face, people would be on the ground, they'd stop them in the face and stuff like that. I mean, that's cool if you're at one championships, but not any of these other organizations. So
if you watch like UFC like 3 and 4, like honest to God, some of these bouts were like complete shit shows. Like, I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Like, it was a freak show of sorts.
My interviews used to kill me, man. Like, if you watch those old school ones and they do the pre-fight and like, this guy's like, I'm a, 9th degree karate black belt. And then he goes out there and just gets starched in like 30 seconds. And you're like, Jesus. Where'd you get that out at, bud?
Exactly. It was definitely some Rex Kwon Do shit, I think, at the very beginning of UFC. And it's just insane that it's grown and exploded in popularity. And the one thing that I like about mixed martial arts today is it's not just about the UFC. I like the fact that Bellator is a great league, and I would venture to say, like, I'll say this informally, but from a lot of the up-and-coming guys and gals that I talk to, more often than not, I hear, I want to go in Bellator, I don't want to go in the UFC. I think that's great for the sport. I don't want there to be a monopoly. The fact that there's Bellator, PFL is viable option stateside. You don't necessarily have to go to one or Ryzen or anything like that. Yeah. I think that's a great thing.
And then you will see how this WFL thing comes together. I know they're kind of piggybacking off of PFL's platform. Yeah, man, I'm stoked about the idea of different organizations coming up. Obviously I'm fighting for Bellator, and I kind of held out for the last like 2 years, man. I was offered a couple of Bellator opportunities, and my manager was like, he's sort of in the idea of like, UFC likes when you go UFC first. They don't like it when you go to other organizations before you go to the UFC. And I'm like, well, of course, now I think about it, I'm like, well, yeah, they don't like that because you see how much nicer it is on the other side. And then they're like, okay, you come over to us, this is what you get. And so, he was like trying to find the right opportunity to get me in the UFC. And I finally just said, I'm like you said, I'm 34 years old, man. And I was just like, I'm sick of waiting. It's just, I feel like I felt like I had several opportunities and I never got the phone call. And, I'm just at a point now where I'm ready to, fight and be on a bigger platform and, have that opportunity to get to a championship fight and make that bigger money, and I feel like Bellator is, I think it's going to be a good fit for me. Obviously, my last fight didn't go that great for them. My debut fight, I mean, I had a lot of people said it was a good fight as far as like, me staying in there with the number 4 guy and stuff like that. But, obviously I'm not happy with the performance. Like, I don't like to lose. I hate being dominated in a certain area, and he just dominated me in the wrestling. And, a lot of it's just, I'm in a smaller gym here in Columbus, and I don't get those like high level wrestling looks like that. So, that's why moving forward, I'm made a second home out at Syndicate. I was out there for like 2 weeks before I got injured before my last, I was supposed to have another fight. And so I'm planning on going back out there for my next camp and stuff, and being able to get those high level looks and stuff out there.
I think that's amazing. And I think it's a testament. Well, first and foremost, I kind of want to like throttle back. You hit the pro scene in 2016. Yeah. And I think it's important for people to know, like, you're a guy that's paid his dues. You've had a lot of fights. You have been in, you're an undefeated professional boxer. And in the MMA world, like I think there's so much more to your game than what you were able to showcase in your last bout. You like by and large when you're in a octagon with another man,
Yeah.
you end up starching them. The fight gets to the ground. These guys get choked out. You're a boxer, but you have more submission victories than you do knockouts, which is bizarre to me.
Yeah.
I know you're a brown belt. I know you have an amazing ground game, but I think of you as a striker
Yeah.
predominantly. I would
Yeah.
imagine that's probably the case for most of the people that watch you. And I think a lot of people just don't understand how good you actually are on the ground. So when you look at that, at your bout, how would you game plan him differently if you had like a full camp and knowing what you know now? If they said, "Hey, we want you, Travis, we want you to go against Eblen again," like how would you approach him knowing what you know now?
Yeah. So, I didn't have a whole lot of time to prep for Johnny. It was like 2.5 weeks, and then obviously a week, and then the rest of it was traveling time at there and shit like that. But, a couple of things I definitely would have done differently in that fight. I would have got more wrestling looks, first of all. Just people, I knew that he was going to go to that body lock, and I knew I was going to be fighting from there. But like I said, the looks I was getting in Columbus at the time, I just wasn't getting enough. That he was super good about transitioning. He'd go from body lock to leg lock to body lock back, and just constant. And I don't get those kind of looks. I'm able to get away from guys that I train with. So, and then another thing that was I didn't attack my jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? I spent too much. I feel like I did a good job at getting back to my feet and stuff, but I couldn't get away. So once I started to realize I couldn't get away, I think I would have used more of my jiu-jitsu, tried to maybe sweeping, create some elevations to create more scrambles to create space instead of coming back up to where he's still body locked on me. And the other thing was just I should have been more aggressive with my striking. I did a really good job at evading his punches, and I think so. The game plan was to keep range the first round, and because I knew he throws really like looping punches, and his footwork's kind of awkward. To me, it's kind of awkward as well because he does a lot of crossover stuff. So the game plan originally was to keep the range in the first round. Because I knew he was going to be leaping and leaping and leaping for big punches. I just wasn't I was keeping the range, but I was stepping back a little too far to where I couldn't counter back. So I need to, that was one of the things I needed to work that a little more before the fight. And I just didn't have a lot of opportunity to work that. But yeah, honestly, I don't feel like I needed to make a lot of big changes. It was just a couple of small things. I think if I would have been better about breaking his grips and getting off the cage. Once I got back to my feet, I would have been fine. That nice German suplex he hit on me, I probably shouldn't have been talking shit to his cornerman at the time when I got slammed. So I remember watching that video like 5 times right after the fight on their clip on Instagram or whatever. And see, right after I get back up, I look over at my cornerman, and I was like, I shook my head. I looked down and I was thinking to myself, like, damn it, I know I shouldn't be talking shit to his corner right now. And that's why I got slammed. So, I think just a couple of little things against Johnny. I mean, Johnny's a really good fighter, man. He's a really good wrestler, and he's a smart fighter. I don't always think it's the most entertaining fights when they fight like that, which is why I started kind of talking shit to him it was probably like the middle of the second round is when I really just started because I realized that all he was going to do was wrestle me from there on, and I was having a hard time getting away from his breaks. And when he slammed me, I think it was probably like the third or fourth takedown in that second round. That's when I just started like, come on, dude. I was like, let's stand in the middle, throw some hands and see what happens, And he wasn't having any of it. He wouldn't say a word to me the whole freaking fight.
I remember that. I remember that part of the bout. I remember like there was something obviously I couldn't pick it up watching it on the TV, but like I could tell you were talking to him, and I knew you just wanted to trade you wanted to stay in the middle and you wanted to trade. I gotta tell you though, if I were Johnny, I'd have done the exact same thing. I'm like, I'm not fucking boxing this guy. Are you fucking crazy? There's not that ain't happening. And Travis, I have to ask you, like, how the hell did this whole thing start? Because like 6 weeks prior, you had a boxing bout. you picked up a decision victory. Like I bet, like from the time that bout concluded to 6 weeks later, you're at the show fighting against one of the top ranked 85ers in the world. Like, what the hell happened? How did you get that phone call? What happened?
Honestly, I just did the boxing fight. I was looking. I had already signed a contract to fight. Oh man, I can't even remember who it is now. He was 7-3. But anyways, I signed a contract to fight him for Ohio Combat League, and then like a week after I signed it, I got a text message from my manager Jason, and he was like, "Hey, are you interested in fighting for Bellator?" And he goes, Johnny Eblen. I think he said 8-0. Yeah, he would have been 8-0 then. And I was like, I don't even know who Johnny Eblen is. So
Right.
I'm like, first thing I do is Google his name and I pull him up and I'm like, I look at it and I was like, just looking at, and this is just me, who I am as a fighter. I looked at his record. I looked at who he's fought and how he's won. And I was like, he's clearly a heavy wrestler style fighter. And I felt like my conditioning was good at the time. So I messaged my coach and I was like, yo, man, this is, we're getting an opportunity to take this fight. And I think, he's a fairly decent matchup for me. I was like, I don't think he's too big. He's a wrestler. If I use my jiu-jitsu and wrestling well, then I should be able to counter a lot of it. And again, like I said, I definitely feel like I didn't use my jiu-jitsu as much as I should have, especially once I realized that's all he was going to do was wrestle. But anyways, yeah, man. So I thought it was a good matchup. I called my coach. He looked at him for a little bit and was like, yeah, if you want to do it, let's do it. So I hit the manager back like about 35 minutes later. I was like, send the contract.
That's an incredible opportunity, and the fact that you knew who it was, you knew what you were getting into. Again, he is one of the top 85ers in any league
Yeah.
in the world. Like that guy is undefeated, and he's undefeated for a reason.
Yeah.
For people who don't watch Bellator, for people who have not seen Johnny Eblen fight, check it out. You'll have a much more appreciation of the task that Travis had, and the fact that you went for it. I don't think there are a lot of guys that would have in your position because
Yeah.
you're still very much in your athletic prime, but it's your first call up to the show. And there are a lot of guys I feel in your position that if that's who they knew they had to fight, they've been like, man, if I get murked, if it doesn't work out against this guy, that might be it. I might not get
Yeah.
another chance. So what was it that Coker or just the Bellator people in general, what did they tell you after the bout? Were they mostly happy with how it went down? Are you on a multiple deal with them? Was that a one fight thing? Tell me what happened
So
after that fight.
the contract that I got was a 1 fight, 2 fight option. So it pretty much was I fight that fight, and then they decided based on performance whether they sign you for the additional fights. So honestly, I didn't find out that they re-signed me for about like I don't know, it was probably about a month or 3 to 4 weeks, and I was actually pushing my manager, and I was like, hey. I was like, I didn't take very much damage in the fight other than some calf kicks that, I ate some calf kicks that needed to heal up a little bit. But I was like, I think I'm going to box again. And I was like, I'm looking to book something soon. So if you guys if we don't know what's going on with Bellator, I'm just going to go ahead and book it. And literally I booked the boxing. He's like, I haven't heard back from him. I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to book the boxing fight. I booked the boxing fight, signed the contract. Then the show got canceled like 3 days before. The boxing event got canceled like 3 days before. And then that same weekend that I was supposed to be fighting boxing, I got a phone call from a manager saying, you want to fight? I forget the guy's name now. He actually lost against another guy they called up last minute. But I signed the contract to fight him, and then, I got injured. So it was literally just like, I had a boxing fight. The boxing fight got canceled. Then Bellator called me and said they were re-signing me, and that I was going to get another opportunity.
So Travis, you were supposed to fight in July, Tim Hiley, and then in
Yeah.
September you're supposed to fight Khalid.
So Tim Hiley was the one that I signed before I actually got the Johnny Eblen fight, and then
Oh wow, okay.
fight instead of the Tim Hiley fight.
So who was Eblen supposed to fight?
I honestly don't know. I heard that they had um, one other person or something like that that they reached out to fight him, and they turned it down. And I guess there was some miscommunication because I found out afterwards that he didn't know that he was fighting me until like a week and a half out from the show because Bellator, I guess somebody dropped the ball. I don't know if it was his management or Bellator, but no one told him that I signed. So I had been training for like a week longer for him than he had actually trained for me.
When there was a narrative about the Eblen fight, like going into it, like I'm a dork and I have to like read everything about mixed martial arts. There's a lot going on at any given time, and here's the narrative. When people found out, when your name got brought up and the fight was booked and all this was going on, you were a plus 410 underdog coming into this fight. The narrative was this. They're bringing in this guy. He's not a can, but they're gonna bring in some guy. They're trying to build up Eblen more.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that was the narrative going in, and I looked at that and I was like, plus 410. I was just like, I've heard of this guy before, and I remember this is the fight that I remember watching. I was doing research on somebody else. It was Josh Friend I was doing research on,
Oh yeah.
and I saw that fight online. And I remember, like, my mind went back. I was like, wait, was that the guy that fought Josh? And I was
Yeah.
like, this guy's actually, like, I was like, this guy's actually really good. I was like, this could be a fight. And that's, like, something clicked, and I bet on you. I was like, I'm going to put, like, $10 on this. I was like, this guy could actually do it. Obviously, it didn't work out, but, like,
I owe you $10 then, man.
no, I got you on the show. That's good enough. That's payment right there.
Money back.
You, you went into that fight as a 410 underdog. There are some fighters that say like, man, I don't pay attention to any of that shit. I have my blinders on. I'm prepared for the task at hand. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what people on the internet say. I turn off my Instagram. I'm not even on that shit. There are other fighters that are like, I'm going to be real with you, man. Like, I saw that shit. It motivated me even more. I felt disrespected going into it. I felt like I was coming in with a chip on my shoulder. So I want to pause there. Which of those camps were you in at that time going into the bout?
It was a little bit of both. I mean, I kind of, to be honest with you, man, I do a little bit of research on my opponents. I'll watch a little bit of video, and then usually, I let my coaches break it down and figure out like, and not that I don't do that myself. Sometimes, I'll go to them if I see something else that I feel like they might have missed or whatever. But yeah, man. But then I also have that part of me that's like, I knew that I was being brought in to lose. You know what I mean? Like I know that they reached out to me because they're looking to build this guy up. Actually, funny story, real quick. His teammate from American Top Team was on the same side as me as we're getting ready to do our walkouts for the official weigh-ins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Oh man, we're on the blue side," and I was like, "Yeah, what's that mean?" He goes, "Well, the blue side's supposed to lose."
Shit.
And I said, "Well, yeah, I kind of assumed that already." He's like, "Yeah, I've already fought here. What?" He's like, "I fought. This is my second fight with Bellator." He goes, "I'm pretty sure they're expecting me to lose against this guy too." And then he actually went out there and knocked that guy out. It was that heavyweight, the heavyweight guy. Can't even remember his name now, but went out there and knocked him out. And I remember like I didn't feel like I was being treated that way. No one made me feel like, oh look, he's the guy that's coming in for Johnny to beat him and stuff or anything like that. But I mean, I'm not oblivious to how this game works. I've been around long enough to see, who's a stepping stone, who's not a stepping stone, and who they've got money invested into. I mean, they signed that kid when he was 4-0, you know what I mean? Or something like that. So, obviously he's their blue collar prospect. And then I'm the guy that they're hoping is going to at least, he's either going to get a highlight reel knockout or I'm going to make it competitive enough to where it's an entertaining fight. And he gets, what did he gain? Experience fighting a really tough guy who he couldn't finish. And, if you ask my opinion, I think Johnny's biggest thing is I think he needs to add more submissions or something to his game. I think the whole riding the back and punching people on the side of the head for 15 minutes, it's going to get you a title fight probably because you're going to keep winning. But at the same time, people aren't going to, they're not going to tune in to watch you hug somebody for 15 minutes and drag them to the ground. And, if you're gonna do it, you get then find a way to finish. I guess is what my thought process is on that. So
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely. Like I'm watching the pay-per-view this weekend because of Covington, not because of Marty. Like
yeah,
that was the worst fight of all time. Him against Jorge, the first one.
oh,
The second one was good, but
huge
like
letdown.
I'm just like I paid the $70 or whatever, and he's just tap dancing on his feet the entire time. I'm like, this
Well,
is
it
boring.
reminds George St. Pierre went down that road after that was after the Sarah fight. I mean,
Right.
he went fighting where he fought to finish people, then he went to fight to win. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are good at doing that, the point fighting system and
Sure.
winning, tech, being so technical. But I feel like if you're not if you're being so technical to the point where you can't finish anybody, then how technical are you really being? You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
feel like you're like 70% technical or 80% technical. You're missing that other 30% that'll make the fight finish or be exciting or stuff like that. So that's,
Travis, I
that's
wanted to ask your perspective because you're hitting on something that I think is super interesting, and I've had other Bellator fighters on recently. I had Ben Parrish on a couple days ago, and Ben Parrish was brought in to lose to Christian Edwards. He was supposed to lose, like he went off script. That was not supposed to happen. He knocks out Christian Edwards. Valerie Loretta, they brought in Hannah Guy. Same thing. And I have her next opponent will be on tomorrow, Taylor Turner. They're bringing her up. Bellator's bringing her up from Knoxville Mixed Martial Arts. And I'll say the same thing to her. They're bringing her in to lose. And there's something to be said about when you do that. Like fighters aren't dumb. I understand fighters have to like you have to like sell your branding. You have to say shit in the media and like you have to present yourself a certain way. I get that. I do. But like no one's oblivious. Like people know like okay, listen, here's where I am. They're calling me up because they think I'm going to lose. Like there are some real conversations that happen behind closed doors that not everyone will talk about like you.
yeah.
So for a fighter that is getting a call like that, perfect example is Taylor Turner.
Mm-hmm.
She's being called to fight Valerie Laredo. They're trying to build her up because she lost to Hannah Guy. What would you tell somebody like Taylor, who's going to take this fight? She's been in the game for a very long time. She's basically being brought in to lose.
Yeah.
Obviously, she has other plans, and you, coming from the perspective that you have, being in to basically lose to Eblen, that was their plan. I like. What would you say to somebody that's in a position similar to you?
Yeah. I think if I was going to say something, it'd just be don't just go. I mean, just like when you're in the cage and stuff, don't hold back. Because here's the thing: if you're brought in to lose, and I feel like I should have had more of a mentality of like, I should have been a more aggressive. You know what I mean? I should have been fighting like that was my only opportunity, but I didn't. I don't feel like I didn't fight like it was my only opportunity. I tried to fight to win the fight and finish the fight, obviously, but I don't feel like I fought like it was my only opportunity. And I feel like if I would have kind of been a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more decisive about what it is I was going to do, it might have went differently. Maybe I would have walked out with the W instead of losing. But more importantly, put on a good fight. You know what I mean? Like even though I got wrestled, humped for freaking 3 rounds, I tried to make it as exciting as I could when I had the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like whether it was talking shit to him on the feet or letting my hands go as soon as I got back up and just making it making it dirty, making it a brawl. Because if you're hesitant and if you're scared or if you let the nerves get to you and stuff like that, I mean, you're going to have a bad night either way. So, I checked all that stuff at the door, right? When we got there, I was just like, man, I'm here. It could be my only opportunity. I don't think it will be, but could be. And, I was like, I'm just going to make the most of it, So, just know that, yeah, you're being brought in to lose. Try to prove them wrong. Prove that there's a reason why you've been doing this and why you're here.
I think it really kind of gives you a competitive edge to a degree if you have the right frame of mind
Absolutely.
because there's no pressure.
Yeah.
There's no expectations. There's no pressure. You got the call. Go for broke. That's what I
Yeah.
mean.
I'm,
I'm not going to talk shit and say, well, that's what I would do, but that's the
uh,
mentality I would like to think I would have in that
my
situation.
my conditioning felt the best it's ever felt for any of my fights, and I really think it was just because mentally I was like, I don't know, there was something mentally I was just like I was in the zone, and I told my coach I was like I could have done 2-3 more rounds. Like if we could have got 5 more. I mean, well, who knows what would have happened? I felt Johnny was freaking tired, man. I mean, he was working, taking me down, and I honestly was just popping right back up. I just felt like I was like getting right back to my feet, and I don't know, man. I just something. If you're going with that lack of care as far as like, is this
YOLO,
gonna?
the YOLO
Yeah,
mentality.
yeah, man. It's just like go in there, have a good time, and fight. And as long as you do that, I think the people at Bellator, they're gonna see that, and they're gonna be like, all right, yeah. Even if she loses, that was a hell of a fight. She's gonna, she could be another person that we could build. So I think that, and obviously they have these Valerie Laredos and the freaking Johnny Eblens and all these guys, but they need people to fight those guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, I might, who knows? I might get to fight Johnny again sometime in the next year or two. So I would love the opportunity. You know what I mean?
And I hope you get it because I would almost go as far as to say this. I know you're a relative newcomer to Bellator, but you've taken a fight like that, and that has to mean something. And if I'm a suit for Bellator, and you tell me like, hey, I want this guy, and if it's realistic, I'm going to give you that guy. I'm going to give you that chance because you took one. I'm not going to say you took one for the team, but like you took a fight that not a lot of people I think would take given the circumstances.
Yeah.
Chips were high. You went all in anyway. You put on a show. I'm going to reward you for that, and I'm going to be like, okay, well, who do you want? Like that's how I would try to do it. And so, Travis, I mean, you have another opportunity with Bellator. I hope you get out there soon. I know, obviously, like nothing's firm, finalized, and even if it was, there are rules. You can't always talk about who it is that you're game planning for, what you might already have arranged. But like, is there a timetable at least that you would like to be out there, or is there a general time frame?
Right now, I'm shooting for early January, anything in January, pretty much. So my shoulder's about like I'd say like 85 to 95%, depending on how hard I push myself right now. So I'm feeling like I'm getting into a good spot to where hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks I can get out of here and go do a camp in Vegas and get ready for a fight. So it's really just going to depend on what Bellator's got scheduled in the beginning of the year, and then whatever I can get on at that point.
Travis, before I let you go, I always like to give fighters the opportunity. I know it takes an army, it takes a village for these types of things. I know you have a lot of people that support you, whether it be in the gym or outside of the cage, that make all this happen. So I'd like to give you the opportunity to shout out those people.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, my girlfriend, Brittany, she helps me out with pretty much everything when it comes to getting ready for these fights. My teammates, my coach, Josh Williams, Vitor Oliveira, Aaron Boggs, Chad Van Sickle, all those guys keep me here in Ohio. They keep me going. And, then my new family out in Syndicate, and shout out to obviously my sponsors like Supzilla. They give me everything I need as far as supplements, man. Central Ohio Spine and Joint. Obviously, I'm constantly going to them for injuries and stuff. So they take care of me more than anyone really knows, because I can't talk about half that stuff anyways, So,
Sure.
Those guys are great. Dealing with the training rooms, helping me out with rehabbing and getting my strength and conditioning back and stuff. And Alice, well, actually, I want to go ahead and pause there, not say that one, but Iridium, obviously my management team, getting me these fights with Bellator and keeping me in there. And yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to getting back into the cage, hopefully at the beginning of the year, and get back to scrapping.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please support Travis Davis. His Instagram handle is right underneath his mug by the time you're watching this. And yeah, your support means a lot to him. I mean, the truth about these things is fighting is very much so a popularity contest, and like
Absolutely.
like the Instagram followers and stuff like that, like I know he doesn't give a shit about that kind of stuff, but And but he kind of has to because he's a professional,
Yeah.
because he's a prize fighter. So do the good thing, follow my guy. Thanks for watching.